All right, let's talk about something we all deal with, getting a handle on our own emotions. For those times when life feels like it's just a bit too much. So today, we're going to break down 7 really powerful psychological techniques that can help you master your feelings and take back control.
We've all been there, haven't we? That moment when you just can't think straight, you can't focus, and it honestly feels like your own mind is working against you. This quote just hits the nail on the head. But here's a thought. What if that feeling wasn't a weakness at all?
And this is the big idea, the huge shift in thinking you've got to make. So many of us are taught to think of our emotions as this chaotic, unpredictable storm we just have to ride out. But what if that's wrong? The truth is that pain you feel, it's not a flaw, it's a signal. It's your brain trying to send you a message. And once you learn to read those signals, well, that changes everything.
Okay, first up, let's get practical. We're talking about in-the-moment tools. Think of these as your emotional first aid kit. This is what you grab when things get really intense and you just need to survive that immediate spike of emotion.
So our first technique is ridiculously simple. But, and this is the cool part, it's backed by some serious science. It's called the 90-second rule. And honestly, it can completely change how you deal with those big reactions like anger or panic. And it all boils down to one number.
That's it, 90 seconds. Just think about that for a moment. That initial chemical rush of an emotion, that surge of anger or that flash of fear, it's not a permanent state. It's a wave, a biological event that rises, peaks, and then fades away in less time than it takes to make a cup of coffee.
So this idea comes from Dr. Jill Bolt Taylor, a neuroanatomist who figured out that an emotion is literally just a chemical wave in your body. And after those 90 seconds are up, if you're still feeling that emotion, it's because your thoughts are now feeding it. You're basically re-triggering the loop and keeping that feeling on life support.
So what do you do with this? It's simple. The next time a big emotion hits, just for a moment, don't react. Instead, just observe it. Notice the physical feelings in your body without judging them. And tell yourself, okay, this is just a 90-second wave. Then, let it pass. This isn't about suppressing your feelings. It's about regulating them. You're teaching your brain that it can feel something intense without completely falling apart.
But what happens after that 90-second wave is gone? When your brain just won't shut up? That's where our next tool comes in. If you're the kind of person who gets stuck in these mental loops, replaying conversations and moments over and over, well, this one is for you.
Now here's what's fascinating about this. This habit, which is called rumination, is actually more common in really smart, analytical people. Your brain is trying to find a pattern to solve the emotion like it's a puzzle. But emotions don't work like that. You can't logic your way out of a feeling. They need to be processed, not solved.
So here's a super effective 3-step pattern interrupt to break that cycle. First, just label it. Say to yourself, okay, I'm ruminating right now, I'm not problem solving. Second, and this is key, move your body. Get up, walk around, do some stretches. This physically changes your brain chemistry. And third, refocus on a simple physical task. Your brain literally can't overthink and be fully present in a physical action at the same time. Remember this, movement almost always breaks the loop faster than logic.
All right, our third in-the-moment tool is so simple, it almost feels like a cheat code. It's a little linguistic trick that creates some much-needed psychological distance from an overwhelming feeling, just by changing one little word.
So instead of thinking, I can't handle this, try using your own name. Like, okay, Alex, you've got this. It sounds small, but studies show this simple shift flips a switch in your brain. It moves you out of the panic center and into the problem-solving center. It's like you stop being the victim of the emotion and instead become your own calm, objective coach. Okay, so we've got some tools for the heat of the moment. Now, let's zoom out a bit. We're moving beyond just surviving the feeling and into something bigger, changing the whole story you tell yourself about what's happening.
This next one is a real cornerstone of cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. It's called cognitive reframing, which is basically the art of changing how you interpret a situation so that it no longer has that negative power over you.
It really all comes down to the questions you ask yourself. You can get stuck in that "why is this happening to me" mindset, which just makes you feel powerless. Or you can shift to "what is this trying to teach me?" You didn't fail the interview, you gathered amazing data on how to nail the next one. The second your brain finds meaning in the struggle, the chaos starts to feel a lot more like clarity.
Okay, next up, we have a psychological truth that is so freeing, especially if you ever worry about what other people think or struggle with social anxiety.
It's called the spotlight effect, and the big idea is this. People are not paying nearly as much attention to you as you think they are. The researcher Thomas Gilovich did these studies where people consistently thought that twice as many people noticed their embarrassing t-shirt as actually did. The truth is, you might replay an awkward moment for days, but most people forgot it in minutes. Why? Because they're busy being the main character in their own story, just like you are in yours. Knowing this gives you so much freedom to just be yourself.
All right, for a final section, we're shifting gears to the long game. These last couple of techniques aren't just about surviving stress, they're about building a mindset that's so robust, it actually gets stronger from facing challenges.
Now, most of us have heard the advice to just visualize success. The problem is that's only half the story. Mental contrasting is a much more powerful technique because it gets you ready for reality, not just a fantasy.
So here's how it works. First, you vividly imagine achieving your goal. Really feel what that success is like. But then you immediately pivot and visualize the real, concrete obstacles that are standing in your way. This isn't pessimistic, it's strategic. It creates this powerful link in your brain between where you want to go and what you have to overcome to get there. It's basically giving your brain an if-then plan, which makes your goals way more likely to survive when things get tough.
And that brings us to our final and maybe most advanced concept. This idea goes way beyond just being resilient. See, resilience is about bouncing back. Anti-fragility, a term from Nassim Nicholas Taleb, is about getting stronger from the hit. It's the idea that you don't just endure hardship, you become better because of it.
And the Stockdale paradox is the perfect real-world example of this in action. It's named after Admiral James Stockdale, who survived 7 years as a prisoner of war. The key is this intense duality. You have to maintain an unwavering faith that you will prevail in the end, while at the same time confronting the most brutal, difficult facts of your current reality. It's not blind optimism. It's a kind of resilient realism that literally forges character out of chaos.
So as we wrap all this up, it becomes pretty clear that these techniques aren't just about feeling a little bit better. They're about something much deeper. They're about a transformation, about taking the inevitable chaos of life and using it as the raw material to build your character.
And if there's one thing you take away today, let it be this. Mastering your emotions is not a soft skill. It's one of the most powerful, strategic advantages you can possibly have in life. It's how you navigate all the complexity and challenge without losing who you are.
So I'll just leave you with this question. Your emotions are not your enemy. They're not chaos. They're just messages, waiting for you to understand them. The real question is, are you ready to stop fighting them and finally start listening?